and welcome back to Blue Jays Today. I hope you guys had a wonderful holiday season, and we're back because a lot of Blue Jays stuff are happening and has happened. We got some updates on Cody Bellinger and what his status is with the Toronto Blue Jays, and as well as other Blue Jays news. We're going to get into it all, but before we do, guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm your host, Adam Peddle.
And I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog. Busy Christmas season for the Toronto Blue Jays. We were asking for moves. We got some moves. We are going to get into that. We're also going to give our thoughts on what is coming next for this team. But first things first, how was your Christmas? Good stuff? Was Santa kind?
It was good, yeah. You know, it was nice. Got a few little things here, but most importantly, spent the holiday season with the family, the friends, the girlfriend. So it was very, very lovely time. But, you know, it's a good refresh.
100%.
You know what I mean? Because we've been working so hard, and I think everybody kind of feels the same way when you're getting down into the deep, darkest pits of, like, winter.
Right.
And it's like, man, I just need a break. But we got that break, and we got some actual, like, action happening, man. And so I'm very thankful for that. How about you, man?
Yeah, no, it was a good Christmas season. I do wish that the Blue Jays decided to make their moves afterwards. You know, because it's like on Boxing Day, like I'm supposed to be spending time with family, and meanwhile I'm like in the basement of my girlfriend's home, like trying to do a Kevin Kiermaier live stream, and then you get IKF the next day too. But either way, folks, it was a good one. For those OG fans, take a look at this right here. Shout out to my girlfriend's family. That's a little Christmas present right there. That is going to be living in the heart of the set moving forward. So I'm very happy with that right there. And we do hope that all of you guys had some amazing times with your families during the holidays. If you're still there, then phenomenal. And Happy New Year to all of you. I'm sure that we will see you before then, but just throwing it out there. Let's get to the Cody Bellinger stuff, everybody. Yes, we know that we signed Kevin Kiermaier. Yes, we know that we signed IKF. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about potentially trades. We're going to talk about some other updates. But Cody Bellinger has been the big name on everybody's holiday wish list for a while now on the Toronto Blue Jays. And for a little bit, it was looking pretty good. It was gearing up that the Toronto Blue Jays, they were the favorites. We were the highest in the betting odds. I mean, you had rumors about his girlfriend coming to Toronto, which was then proven to be false, but still there were rumors and it was cool and we were excited. And now, after these two signings, Kiermaier, IKF, we got a little update on the odds for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, I mean, odds, like not betting odds, but, you know, in terms of just rumors out there, you have John Heyman, and again, take it like as you will.
Yeah.
John Heyman now says the Cubs are favored to land free agent outfielder / first baseman Cody Bellinger on the BR walk-off. For me, again, I mean, it's really easy for me to say, like, nah, don't listen to this. Favorites, who cares when it's, like, not my team that's favored right here. When it's my team favorite, I own that crap. You know, I'm really riding with it. But again, take it as you will. I think this is a direct impact because of the whole Cody, or the whole IKF, the whole Kevin Kiermaier, because the Blue Jays have gone out and looked in another direction. I think that's where you're starting to hear, like, oh, now Cubs are starting to pick up steam because the conversations are happening now between the Cubs and Cody Bellinger's camp. That's where I think my best educated guess is coming from. I don't think the Blue Jays are out there in any means. I think they're right there still with Cody Bellinger. And just because John Heyman's saying it doesn't mean other analysts are saying it as well. I've heard other analysts saying, like, yeah, this still makes a lot of sense for the Blue Jays to be favored for Cody Bellinger right now. So I think this is just one guy's kind of hearing and kind of reporting of the situation.
Well, it does feel like there's a lot of different opinions going on so far about this situation, because directly after you had Kevin Kiermaier sign with the Toronto Blue Jays, you had Bob Nightingale come out and he said, hey, don't worry, guys, don't worry, Blue Jays fans, you are still going to be in on Cody Bellinger. But then following that, and this is something that we didn't get an opportunity to touch on during our reaction stream, I saw Ben Nicholson-Smith tweet, and he kind of took the other side of the coin, and he was saying, oh, okay, well, they might still be in on it, but it feels like it's, kind of not in his words, not verbatim, but almost like taking a square and putting it into a circle socket here. Like, it's not necessarily as strong of a fit as it could have been.
Interesting,
And I mean, again, like, take it with a grain of salt, right? This is just their opinions. Right here. I mean, he says, by agreeing to terms with Kevin Kiermaier on a one-year deal, the Blue Jays have an outfield of Kiermaier, George Springer, and Dalton Varsho in place. The Cody Bellinger possibility now looks like an awkward fit at best for the Jays, as outfield looks like less of a priority for them. What do you make about BNS coming out and saying, okay, look, they got Kiermaier, they have Varsho, they got Springer, these are starting guys. maybe it's not as much of a priority that they go out and they get Bellinger.
First, a quick shout out to 3 Point James with the Happy New Year. Love the show, boys. Thank you for the super chat.
Let's go.
And another shout out to BNS. Love BNS. He's obviously very close to the Jays, very credible source, so I'm never going to discredit him. But this to me looks like his opinion.
Yeah.
This is his opinion put in a tweet, because he's saying that Cody Bellinger possibly now looks like an awkward fit at best for the Blue Jays. However, I completely disagree. Cody Bellinger, he could play all over the outfield. He could play first base, right? When you lose Brandon Belt, you lose Whit Merrifield, you lose, Kevin Kiermaier, but now you got him back. I think it still makes sense for it to have a fourth outfielder, right? Kevin Kiermaier can still cycle in as your fourth outfielder. Cody Bellinger could play some first base, so I don't think it's an awkward fit. I think Cody Bellinger looks like a great piece, a great powerful piece to add still to this team, where you can still have playing time for Kevin Kiermaier, you can still have playing time for Cody Bellinger. It won't be awkward at all for me. Hell, you got George Springer, he needs days off.
Yeah.
Kevin Kiermaier, he needs days off. They're getting in their mid to early 30s. You know what I mean? Like, they got to get off their feet. I gotta disagree. With Ben Nicholson Smith here, I think Cody Bellinger is still in a very good possibility for the Toronto Blue Jays.
I also think that he's really looking at this at a granular level and not necessarily addressing the complexities of this situation, because okay, sure, fine, you have 3 outfielders. Cody Bellinger, he plays outfield. Maybe in that regard, it's not necessarily a fit, but I still think that there is a priority for the Toronto Blue Jays to get some thump in the lineup. That hasn't gone away, right? So yeah, sure, just from a positional side of things, okay, maybe it's not necessarily fit to go out and to get another outfielder, but we need people to score runs and to hit when there's somebody in scoring position. And that is something that we have not addressed with Kevin Kiermaier. That is something that we've not addressed with IKF, right? These are not the bat upgrades that this team needs. And for crying out loud, if that is what Ross Atkins thinks, somebody needs to talk to him. But I do believe that Ross Atkins is a lot more intelligent than that, and I think that he understands that the players that he's acquired so far, I keep using the word, are complementary to what is going to be the biggest piece, which will be a slugger who can solve those bigger problems of hitting when there's runners in scoring position, and that is what Cody Bellinger provides. So sure, outfield, I understand, but you're not addressing the bigger priority, which is the lineup.
Absolutely. I can't agree. That is the biggest priority, is the lineup. But also another priority, again, sure, for 2024, the outfield looks complete, but then you're stuck in the same situation.
That's true.
Kiermaier's going to probably go away. Maybe test the market again. Maybe we bring him back. Who knows? Where's the winning window beyond 2025?
Yeah. That's
the priority that they still need to address. There is no winning window with the offense beyond 2025. After Bo Bichette and Guerrero are off the books. Cody Bellinger, he's going to address that window. So I think looking at it, like a granular level, like you said, I think even just like a short-sighted level. That's like short-sighted vision. I'm looking down the line. We need Bellinger on this team to help the boys.
Also, something that nobody's really talking about right now, but you were dealing with in that outfield 2 players who have been injured a lot and are getting older, right? George Springer and Kevin Kiermaier. Dalton Varsho, he's always been healthy, so he's fine, right? I do believe that you will get a lot of games out of him, a lot of innings, right? But Kevin Kiermaier and George Springer, I would bet my left nut that one of those guys is going to be on the IR or IL for an extended period of time at some point in 2024. That is going to happen. And if you just walk in with those 3 guys as your starting dudes, expecting them to play every game, I just don't see that as being a sound strategy.
I agree.
mean, you saw it at the end of the year with Kevin Kiermaier. There became a point where, honestly, a lot of games he was sitting out because there was some type of lingering injury, right? And even when he was playing, well, sometimes they pinch hit him and stuff. Like, I don't think that you can rely on, I think he's 34 now, 35, 35-year-old Kevin Kiermaier to give you a full season of play. And that's no discrediting Kevin Kiermaier. We love Kevin Kiermaier. Yeah. In fact, shout out to Kevin Kiermaier because he posted this kick-ass video talking about how much he loves Toronto and he loves the fans and he's so happy to be here. And that's the type of locker room presence that we want to have in this team. So I love you. You're phenomenal, Kevin Kiermaier. But I don't know if we can get 162 games out of that guy.
Look, and you began to see it at the end of last season. I mean, again, no disrespect to Kevin Kiermaier, but you had some Blue Jay fans coming to our chat saying, like, well, why isn't Kevin in the lineup today?
Yeah.
Well, guys, like, it's 162 games is hard to play when you're coming off surgery, and do I believe that he can come out, like he's saying in this video, if you guys give it a watch, he's saying he's going to get even better? Maybe. But, if I'm just looking at the stats and numbers, like, his year last year was great for Kevin Kiermaier. Do I expect to get better? I don't think so. You know what I mean? Especially getting older. If he gives me exactly what he did last year, that's a W in my mind.
Totally.
That's a W.
Loving it.
So again, guys, you got to anticipate, like Nick's saying, for those injuries. Because again, once you lose, if you lost him, let's say you lost him, right? Or Springer. Let's say you lose Kevin Kiermaier. Now it's Nathan Lukes again. You're right, or Nathan Lucas. You're right back exactly where you were, and I don't want to be there. So with that being said, Cody B, yes, it doesn't look like apparently to John Heyman that we're not a favorite. But what is your take on that? Like, are we still going to be in the mix? Are we going to still be pulling for him?
I think that you make it work, guys. I think that is one of those situations where, hey, Kevin, you're going to slide down now. You know, like that's, and I do believe, again, based on the way that things finished last year, he's got to understand that his role might evolve, might shift as the season goes on. Maybe you start out as the everyday guy, but maybe not, right? And I think that he understands that, yes, we are on the back nine of our career. He is going to play his role in that locker room better than anybody. He's going to own that locker room. He's going to command respect, but he's also going to have a camaraderie among the players. But I think he would be perfectly fine with the Toronto Blue Jays going and upgrading, if they could, with a Cody Bellinger.
Bro, what's wrong with having a cycle with the DH spot? Because as of right now, there's no JD Martinez.
Well, hell, we've done it before, man. Yeah, we know the cycle at the DH.
Exactly. So what's the problem of having a Vlad? If you get Cody Bellinger, right? Because you're going to have a Vlad, Bellinger, a George Springer, kind of cycle in that DH spot. Maybe a catcher in there too, right? So you're going to have guys cycling in, and then Kevin Kiermaier needs days off, right? So you're going to get everybody in at every time. Like, there's not one set lineup every single day, or else you're going to injure your players. That's poor management. I couldn't
agree more, everybody. So those are our thoughts on Cody Bellinger and the updates right there. Now, Toronto Blue Jays, as you know, have been kind of busy over the past few days. They go out, they get the stud, Paulo Espino. Then they go out. They bring back Kevin Kiermaier. Yeah, I literally got it right here, everybody. Go, if you guys aren't already doing so, please go follow us on Twitter. Follow us on X, everybody. We're tweeting a lot more out there. But as you can see right here, there's a lot of sarcasm involved in this tweet. But they get Paulo. They get Kevin. They get IKF. Watch out, American League East. The new look Blue Jays are freaking fracking here. Now, I have seen some people on Twitter, on our YouTube saying, oh my God, is this what Ross is this what he cooked up? Is this what we were promised Ohtani, and this is what we get? Nay, everybody, nay. Apparently, according to Robert Murray, there are supposed to be more moves on the horizon.
Yeah, I want to just address everybody who's on Twitter right now. I think it's a joke. You know, like, I love tweeting all these sarcastic stuff like Nick said right there. It's all just a joke, guys. Obviously, if we all just ground ourselves in reality, these are complementary pieces for hopefully bigger moves, like Robert Murray is saying right here. He was on, I believe it was the BNR podcast, podcast or something like that today. He was on a podcast, Robert Murray, very credible source, saying the Blue Jays are not done by any means. I wouldn't rule out multiple bats. Be patient, Jays fans. And I think Ross knows, and you got to give him a lot of credit because he's done a lot for this team over the last 6 years. He knows this can't be it. You still got Soler out there. You still got Teoscar Hernandez out there. You still got Cody Bellinger out there. You still got Rhys Hoskins out there. He knows the problem is the bats in the lineup. If we're here talking about it, if you guys are talking about it on Twitter, he obviously knows. So yes, I think those moves are coming, and they're going to stem off of Cody Bellinger. And I think as well, you got people like Teoscar Hernandez, like Rhys Hoskins, all these bigger bats that warrant bigger contracts. They're kind of waiting for Cody Bellinger too, because they're kind of in the tier just below Cody B, so they're going to be right after them. So I would be very patient. What do you take from this, Nick? Are you worried at all? What are you thinking?
Well, we are going to talk, by the way, guys, about Teoscar Hernandez, because there has been a few rumblings there. But just as far as the Toronto Blue Jays and the thought and the just the thinking that they could potentially be done after getting Paulo Espino and Kevin Kiermaier and IKF, that's crazy, guys.
That's silly, man.
That's crazy. I mean, we've talked about it a few times on this channel, and I know people are talking about it on the internet right now, but Ross Atkins, his back is up against the wall. He knows that if he cannot field a winning team in 2024, a team that can hopefully get past the first round, if he can't do that, he's out of here. And I mean, there would be a exceptional logic and reasoning to get him out of there if all he did in the offseason was bring in Kevin Kiermaier and bring in Isaiah Kiner-Falefa.
Well, let me ask you then, on that note, how many wins does this Toronto Blue Jays team get? Where you got this lineup, yes, we still got the great rotation. I don't know why they put Derek Holland in there. Just completely ignore that.
Doesn't make sense.
We got this 5 in our rotation. How many wins does this team get in 2024?
Keeping in mind, everybody, you're going to have IKF cycling in, Espinal cycling in, maybe some of the prospects cycling in at some point or another. This lineup right here with what they have done, 84.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say like 85.
85.
Because you also got to consider Yankees are upgrading, right? They got Juan Soto and they got Alex Verdugo. They're still looking for another pitcher. I've heard Giolito's even in the mix. Like, they're looking at him. Like, that's incredible 5.
Yeah.
And then, you got obviously the Orioles still in there. What are the Rays going to be? We don't know. Red Sox could be sneaky. So, yeah, that's an 85-win team right there, at best.
Yeah, which is, frankly, I mean, it's not really good enough for any division unless maybe you're in the Central. But especially for the American League East, you win 84, you win 85 games, you could be 4th.
Yeah, I mean, you're not making playoffs.
You wouldn't be, but there's even a possibility that you could be 5th. Which is just how crazy this division is. But, yeah, in our division, you are most likely finishing pretty low 4th or a pretty high 4th and a low 3rd right there in the AL East. So that's just simply not good enough. I mean, if you're going to be competitive in the American League East, you need to have a roster that can give you 90 wins.
Yeah.
It has to be able to do that, right? And I mean, the Yankees will be back in Baltimore. I was reading up on what they're doing right now. They're looking like they could be in the market for trading for one of those pitchers, a Dylan Cease or Corbin Burns if he gets moved or something like that, right? Of course it does, because they have the lineup. They just need that kind of solid. They need their Kevin Gausman.
They don't really go out and get free agents in the last little bit. I mean, I know back in the day in 2015, 2014, like they were in on a lot of free agents, but now it feels like Baltimore, that market just isn't attractive.
Well, we can thank our lucky stars for that, because if they were,
it would be very attractive.
Yeah, literally.
If that exact lineup and roster was rolled out in Yankee Stadium, we are literally effed. We are screwed for that.
Yeah, of course we are, man. So we're kind of blessed in the sense that they don't want to spend money, and the Tampa Bay Rays, they're just not allowed. They just can't spend money. That is a blessing for us. But because we have that capability to do so, IKF, Kevin Kiermaier, and Espino, it's just not going to cut it, folks. Now, we are going to get to the potential target for the Toronto Blue Jays, but before we do, let's give a quick shout-out to the sponsor of this video.
Whoa! Time for your daily Betway breather. A quick reminder that the best place to bet is on Betway. Must be 19 years of age or older to play. In collaboration with iGaming Ontario, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content.
Shout out to Betway, everybody. They are absolutely phenomenal, folks. Also, shout out to the 515 people watching us right now. Guys, if you haven't already done so, please hit the like button. Smash the subscribe button, everybody. This is where you want to be for the Toronto Blue Jays news and content. Let's talk about a former Toronto Blue Jay, kind of a fan favorite, somebody who started out not so good with the Jays, not so good, but then he really freaking exploded, everybody. We are talking about Teoscar Hernandez, Silver Slugger winning Teoscar Hernandez. Apparently, according to Robert Murray, also shout out to Josh the Jays fan, by the way. He has literally quoted all of Robert Murray's stuff. This is great. We love you. Maybe we'll even link this clip to you, so shout out to him for being phenomenal. But Robert Murray came out and said, I even thought coming into the offseason that he, in brackets, Teo, could have made sense for the Blue Jays. They have a lot of options there in the outfield for sure, but I think they have the flexibility to add another player there if they wanted to. And this is, first off, really good news for us because, one, we like Teo, but also good news when we're looking back at that Ben Nicholson-Smith tweet.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Because, I mean, you have Robert Murray coming out and kind of disputing that immediately, saying, hey, listen, I know that they have a lot of outfielders, but they probably still have the flexibility to get one more guy.
Again, I thought it was very obvious. I'm kind of disappointed about that BNS tweet, honestly. I was like, oh, this can't be it, man, because, it's obvious that, there's got to be at least 4 guys rotating on the outfield. But to continue on, what Robert Murray said, he kept on going, saying, I don't know if it's going to be a Bellinger type by any means, or I don't necessarily know what they're going to end up doing there, but the Teoscar Hernandez market is strong. So we know, we got a little bit of rumor there that there's a lot of interest in Teoscar Hernandez, and rightfully so. I mean, this is a classic buy low guy.
Yes.
And if you're the Blue Jays, you know, you probably got a good idea about how you can activate this guy back into his Silver Slugger ways, right? He's not that far removed. So if I'm the Toronto Blue Jays, yes, Cody Bellinger is going to be very hard. You land Cody Bellinger, that's a W of an offseason for the Blue Jays. Would you agree?
Yeah, of course.
Right,
yes.
right. But most likely you're not going to land him. There's a lot of other teams kind of into him as well as the Cubs. So if you go and you land a Teoscar Hernandez, like, yeah, it's not like a A+ offseason. Hell, maybe it's not even an A- offseason. But you go and address the need that you gave away last year with trading Teoscar Hernandez, Lourdes, and Moreno. You go and address that right away. I'd give that a B. This would be a good signing and a good experiment to bring him back to Silver Slugger ways.
Yeah, of course. And I do think, and we have crapped a lot on Guillermo Martinez, but I do think that he clearly knows something about Teoscar Hernandez and the way that he plays baseball, because he was around when Teo was doing everything that he was doing. Now, we do need to address some of the scary rumors surrounding Teoscar Hernandez. The Boston Red Sox, I don't know if you've heard about this.
I haven't, actually.
They are big favorites. They are big favorites. They are big favorites for Teoscar Hernandez. They are in on it. I have seen Robbie Hyde tweeting out a lot. Shout out to Robbie Hyde, but he is slowly convincing himself that this would be a really good deal for them, the Boston Red Sox, and that would not be a good feeling, everybody. I do not want to see Teoscar Hernandez in Boston. I do think, though, even with those rumors, if the Blue Jays really wanted to go out and they wanted to get this guy, I think that they could. Right? I mean, the same argument that you make for Cody Bellinger being in Chicago, right, and him having a great season over there and everything like that, and maybe just wanting to stay put, I think that you can make similar arguments for Teoscar Hernandez coming back to the Toronto Blue Jays, because, one, he kicked ass with this team. And two, there are still a ton of players on the squad, on the roster right now, that he knows, that he likes, that he's friends with, that he has a camaraderie with, right? So I feel like the fit right there, if the Blue Jays really did want to go after this dude, I think that they could get him.
Yeah, I agree. I also just pulled up there. I was trying to find Boston Red Sox, but Dodgers are apparently interested in him as well. Like, that's just fucked. Yeah. Like, that's just messed up.
You know, I don't want to get off topic, but I was also seeing some just crazy stuff. I mean, somebody correct me in the chat, but I mean, the Dodgers, they were linked to, I think they were linked to Burns as well, or they were linked to, you know, just like another massive trade of some capacity. It's like, how are you, if you do that, like, it's going to be tough to watch baseball next year, man.
And did you see that Heyman also said, again, this wasn't even an old, like, video clip, but he also said again that this is good for baseball, the Dodgers being, the centerpiece of baseball.
Dude.
Like, come on.
Get out of here.
You know what his argument was? It was like, oh, it's good for baseball because it has someone for everyone to try and target, to go after. I'm like, I guess in a narrative sense, yes.
Okay, yeah.
But, like it's also just not fair for the rest of the fan base.
No, I mean, okay, sure, there's a new public enemy number one, but like, why do we want that? Why do we want that? You know, it's kind of fun to watch new teams emerge and do well and everything. Whatever, everybody. The Dodgers, they're gonna Dodger it up. They're gonna get some more guys. They might even break records next year with how many games they freaking win.
Yeah,
although you know, we said the same thing about the New York Mets, and look what happened there.
Dude,
so it doesn't always work out.
I'm praying for a Met situation to happen in LA.
Just so like we can get, because that would mean that they'd probably have to take an off-season off, right? If they did do the New York Mets, they'd probably have to take next season off. And that would be really nice for us. So yeah, I'm kind of on the same page with you there.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get back to that Teoscar Hernandez thing. I know you were talking about it there. How would he kind of fit with the Toronto Blue Jays? Because right now you have Kevin Kiermaier, you have Varsho, you have Springer, right? I'm assuming you're going to put Kevin Kiermaier back in center field, Varsho back in left. Does Teo kind of take over more of a DH kind of role with the Blue Jays?
I think that he'd do a very similar thing that Cody Bellinger would do, just minus the first base.
Right. I am worried. I'm only worried because Teo has said in the past when he's with the Jays, like, he prefers outfield with his game, you know, in terms of hitting, like keeping him like off the hitting side of things, like in his mind, kind of distracted. Would that be a worry? Because he is an outfielder by trait. Switching over DH, would that affect things? I don't know.
It could be. I think that those are the conversations that you'd have to have with him when you are meeting and when you were potentially setting up this deal and say, hey, listen, man, we love you. But let's face it, defensively speaking, we got Kiermaier, we got Springer, and we got Varsho out there. Those are three real, and we are going to win, everybody. I'm going to say this right now. Toronto Blue Jays, they are going to win the Team Gold Glove next year. Right. It is going to happen again. We are going to do that. So at least we're going to get that. Yeah. But I think that you got to tell Teoscar Hernandez and say, listen, you come onto this team, the primary role is going to be DH. Your main focus, get me 100 RBIs. Because we don't have anybody on this team, maybe other than Guerrero, that could do that.
And look, unless his mentality has changed, like, I got a feeling that that's a big negative towards the Blue Jays getting a Teoscar Hernandez, because he does want to play in the outfield. At least from 2 years ago, from him speaking, that's my biggest worry, is that would be a role for, he'd be primarily a DH.
If that's the case, and maybe it is, if that is the case, then that's when I think that you're really looking at JD Martinez.
Right.
Because
a guy who's used to that kind of role.
Exactly, right. Because unless you are... Cody Bellinger is a different story, because one, he's phenomenal defensively, and also two, that is going to be part of your future, right? You want this guy on your feet. You want him to almost become the leader of the outfield out there, right? So that is something that would be a very different story. But if you're bringing in Teoscar Hernandez, it's not as much of a concern. And JD Martinez, that's why I think he works right now very well with what the Jays are doing if they miss out on a big fish like Cody Bellinger, because JD Martinez had a very solid year last year. He can absolutely still swing the thing, and you don't have to worry about putting him in the field at all. You can just lock him in at DH and be like, listen, guy, you're going to bat fourth all year long. That's all you got to do.
That is the one worry then. If you are, because the team kind of takes a different look with that DH spot. They've been getting so used to using that DH spot as like a half day, especially for players like Vladdy and Bichette, guys that play every single day, and George Springer. So they've been kind of using that as a rest piece. So you might see some guys, like some days, just not in the lineup. Like Vladdy might just not be in the lineup one day if JD Martinez is going to be a permanent DH, or JD Martinez takes a day off and he's not in the lineup. So you might start to see that kind of happening. So different look. I mean, I'm not going to be butthurt, because most of the time you are going to get a complete lineup, but it is something to just be cautious about. Especially playing with Kevin Kiermaier and everything. Like older guys, they're going to need that little bit of rest, extra rest.
I agree with you, man. Before we wrap things up, everybody, there's one more thing that I did want to discuss. Now, we're going to have a podcast diving in on this a little bit deeper tomorrow. But I do want to talk about... Oh, do we need to give a shout out?
We got to get one more shout out.
Quick shout out.
Quick shout out to another sponsor here, everybody.
Time for a quick shout out to Covered Bridge Potato Chips. Made with ingredients from the St. John River Valley and cooked carefully in a local factory. They've got tons of great flavors like smoke and barbecue, sea salt, and sour cream and onion. Get a taste of this delicious flavor cooked the old way. Now, back to the content.
Shout out to Covered Bridge, everybody. They're freaking phenomenal. You do want to try their chips. I was having some over Christmas.
You had some?
Yeah, they are very...
I've been looking for them in Costco. I couldn't find them.
Very, very good. Getting back to what I was saying there, everybody. With the IKF signing, with the Kevin Kiermaier signing, there has been some talks looking over at that infield and saying it's kind of busy. It's kind of busy. Now, tomorrow we're going to have a podcast coming out really diving in to the potential of a trade for the Toronto Blue Jays, because that is something that kind of feels like it's lining up right now. It would make a lot of sense. You bring in this guy, you have a lot of pieces there. Maybe you want to ship one off. But my question to you right now, my question to the chat, is the Toronto Blue Jays third baseman for 2024 on the roster right now?
Like every day gets most of the playing time kind of third baseman?
Interpret it how you will.
Look, it's tough. Look, if I'm Ross Atkins, again, I really do trust and I really do believe in Ross Atkins. If he's going out, he's making all these moves, he's filling up the infield, he's looking at other bats to help out the team, and multiple bats. If that is the case, how in the hell can you sign Matt Chapman, right? Signing Matt Chapman is going to eat up a lot of money. He's not really the bat of the future for the team. Hell, you don't even know if he's going to get even better. He might get even worse with the bat. So with that being said, I think there might be a potential by the end of 2024. If I'm going to put any money on it, I don't think they will sign a Matt Chapman. If we're based on what we've seen so far, I think that by the end of 2024, you might see the emerging everyday third baseman for the future.
It doesn't always need to be a Matt Chapman too. There's some other. You could make a trade. You could make a signing. Right.
Right.
Is the third baseman on the roster right now that we're going to start the season with?
that we're gonna start the season. Oh, that's tough to say. I don't know. Let me throw it back to you then, because I that's tough for me to say.
Well, okay, I'll be honest. I hope it's not. I hope it's not. And we're seeing people in the comments right now saying no, no, no. I hope it's not. The one thing that I am worried about is the fact that you've signed IKF to a 2-year deal, and they have all of these players that can kind of do the exact same thing. And if you were to bring in another guy like a Justin Turner or like a Matt Chapman, that to me is kind of confusing because, well, what do you do with all of these other players? So then it kind of, cycles back and goes, okay, well, you kind of have to trade someone from this group if the third baseman isn't on your roster right now. Because signing another guy, I mean, now you're looking at 8 dudes in the infield.
Biggio, Espinal, Davis Schneider, IKF, and then another guy. That's way too many.
And then also, too, you're not even thinking about Barger and Martinez.
So, actually, that's a great question because you had Tom coming up here. When you meant roster, are you talking just the Blue Jays 26-man?
I did mean everybody on the team. So I was referring to Barger and Morales, in the system as well, right? Because they could, maybe if they're not going to start, maybe they could become the guy. And that's honestly something that I am starting to potentially come to terms with right now is maybe the strategy is we're going to get IKF, we're going to have Biggio, we're going to have Espinal, we're going to have Schneider. We are going to have a shotgun approach to this third base bag.
It's tryouts.
Yeah. Whoever can figure it out, whoever can actively be defensively sound over there, you are going to be the guy for most of the season until we think that Martinez or Barger is potentially ready to come in and slowly start taking that role over, right? That's something that I'm starting to potentially come to terms with by signing IKF like they did.
It's scary because, you have the window now, and to have a experiment piece, if you will, over at third base is scary. But again, we've been kind of used to last season, like every position was locked in. There was no question mark about any position in the team. Maybe it was second base, but the beautiful thing there is okay, well, you had quality bats kind of cycling in and out of second base. This is the first time since 2022, you could argue 2021, where you kind of have to do a little bit of experiment with multiple positions, second base, third base, right? So it is scary that it is happening in this window, but you got to hope that you have enough guys auditioning and have that competitiveness within the organization that one of them is going to take that extra step.
Yeah, if that is going to be the approach, and I will come out right now and I will say, and we're going to talk about it more tomorrow, so stay tuned, everybody, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, we're going to talk about it some more. But if that is the approach, I need to see a big bat come in somewhere else.
It has to be. Or else you're kind of cooked. And I think that big bat has to be with an outfield.
Yeah, because that's the only spot that you have left, right? Yeah. You're not going to put anybody at first base. You're obviously not going to have anybody at shortstop. You've kind of made the decision now that this is going to be your second and third base options here. So it has to be in the outfield or a potential DH. That is something that I need to see if this is going to be the approach. Or maybe the best case scenario, which again we're going to talk about tomorrow, is you go out and you try to flip 2 of those guys, or one of them in a prospect, or some type of package of some kind, and ship them off, and you acquire an Isaac Paredes, or you acquire people are talking about this, but a Jose Ramirez, right? If you were capable of doing anything like that, that's an ideal situation. But as of right now, if you are going to do this shotgun approach, okay, but we still need to see some more upgrades to the lineup.
And that's why I'm almost dead set that it is going to be an outfielder. I mean, you could argue Rhys Hoskins could be an option. Look at Brandon Belt. He basically almost played every single day.
That's the only other player that I could think of that I would be okay with to add to the infield.
Of course. And even then, look, I love Rhys Hoskins. He's going to be a great quality bat. But is that going to be what really needs to happen then? Is you need a Vladdy breakout back to 2021 again. Because Rhys Hoskins, look at his career, he's never going to give you a Vladdy type of year or a Bellinger type of year at his max. You know what I mean?
Well, I think, and something that we all kind of need to start coming to terms with is, if we do miss out on Cody Bellinger, if the Jays don't get Cody Bellinger, and this is something that Ben Nicholson-Smith was talking about, the biggest upgrades on this team, on this lineup, they gotta happen internally.
Yeah, they do.
It's gonna be that you are relying on Guerrero to get back to 2021 form. You are relying on Alejandro Kirk to get back to what he was capable of doing in his All-Star year. You need a bounce back from George Springer. Those are the guys that you were giving your faith into, and you're saying, hey, we have you.
Yeah.
We paid George Springer the money. We brought in these guys. You know, we've grown you. Now we need to see the results if you don't go out and you don't get a Cody B.
Baseball, just like during the regular season, it's a long, long game for people's careers. It just so happened that for whatever reason, maybe you can point to the hitting coach like we always have been, all of the offensive numbers were just down.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, everyone had a down year, except for Bo Bichette, of course. So everyone had a down year, so you got to hope that other shoe's got to drop and they're all going to have some up years, or at least half of them, or maybe more for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Agreed, man. Agreed. Folks, let us know your thoughts about all of this in the comments down below, everybody. Like I said, we're going to be having a podcast come out tomorrow, so on Friday, if you are watching this on Thursday, and tons more content on the weekend, and just literally in the new year, everybody. So we appreciate everybody coming, watching with us. If you haven't already done so, please hit the like, smash the subscribe button. Every single one of you are freaking amazing.
And as always, guys,
Go Jays, go!